video, cooking video. It's going to be by request of Gardini 100. Thanks for the request, man. He's been great. He's been following me for a long time. Great YouTuber. But it's going to be a spicy meatball sub. And it's not 100% homemade, but it's definitely going to have my twist on it. So stay tuned and watch me build this PoBoy. Alright, so I got some 8515 ground meat. I want to make me some meatballs. What I like to do is kind of get an idea here. Look at the bread that we're going to be using. Get an idea how big the meatballs need to be to fill it up. So I figure 4 meatballs per sub. So what I'm going to do is pack this out a little bit. Not a uniform thickness. Season it with some salt. Hit it with some cracked black. You could certainly use garlic cloves, but you make this kind of quick. I like garlic. What I've got here is a little hack job I did. It was whole mixed peppercorn, and I took out the peppercorn and put in my dried habanero. Doesn't work the best in the world, but it does work better than nothing. You could certainly use a electric grinder or something if you had one. I do not. We'll also be heating up the sauce as well with some spices. So you don't want to overdo the meat, become nuclear hot. And the fair aspect of it being meatballs, you think Italian, so I just grabbed some Italian seasoning blend that I use. I find this stuff tastes pretty, it does a good job. All those dried seasonings. And what I'll do is I'll fold it over on itself. And kind of work it in. You can certainly do this in a bowl if you'd like. I usually tend to fold and press like 2 or 3 times, and that gets it pretty well incorporated. Pretty similar to the way you would form a meatloaf. Look at that. Pretty much looks just like a, the way I would make a meatloaf. I don't want to absolutely kill the texture of the meat, so that's about as much as I want to work it. And I'll pinch off a little piece. Put it in your hand. Roll it around a little bit. Make a ball. We are making meatballs. And what I like to do, just so it's kind of easier to cook. If you're cooking it in a pan, you can definitely cook it in the oven. Brown it that way. Just do like this and just press it a little bit. Kind of work it a little bit. You don't want to make it look like a patty, but you gotta realize it's gonna plump up a little bit as it cooks, and this will pretty much end up being round looking. So I'm gonna make 8 of these because it's gonna be about 4 of them to a sub. And just try to get them kind of similar in size. Alright, so I got my meatballs. Put them in a pan over about medium heat. What I like to do when I'm using them for a sandwich is kind of pick the ones out that were, you know, pretty close in size. Like I said, I'm going to go with 4 each, so place that a little bit. Try not to overcrowd it too much, but I'm not going to spend 2 batches. So you let that go for a little bit. Usually crank the heat up a little on it just to kind of get the browning process going good. Using a non-stick skillet right now, but you definitely don't have to use a non-stick skillet. And actually, because these are going to actually be finished in a sauce, if you've got a lid that'll fit over the top of it, that'll actually speed up the process a little bit. So I'm going to get these browned good, and then come right back to you. Alright, you'll notice with the lid on, the heat really comes up a lot faster, and you get a little bit of browning on the top. If I was browning, what I'm going to do is just flip them over real quick. What you're looking for is just to put a little bit of color on it, plumping up. So I'll let it go like that for a couple of minutes. You gotta know your oven, you gotta know your stove pretty well. You're gonna just put it on there and forget about it, or you'll end up with a very hot environment underneath that lid. Alright, while the meatballs are doing their thing, I'm gonna start on the sauce here. So what we're gonna do is open up this can of Chipotle's and adobo sauce, because I like the smokiness of it, and also the flavor profile and the heat. It gives a good little bit of heat to it. You put them in a little food processor or a blender if you got a, you know, if you don't have a little processor. But this little food processor works great. Being me in June, so that ought to do it. And you're thinking that might be a little thick, but what we're going to do here is we got some Hunt's diced, and it's the basil, garlic, and oregano. So put that in here. This is not a bad way to make a base for a spaghetti either. I've done it and I was not disappointed. So you can put this in here. And kind of go like equal parts. Now I like to pour some of the juice in there. A teaspoon and a half, 2 teaspoons of salt. This is kosher salt I'm using right here. Did I mention I like garlic? And this is all, of course, to taste. So, you know, you don't like as much garlic, don't put as much garlic. Like more garlic, put more. My angle toward this is heat. So I've got some dried Caribbean Reds. I'll put up in there. And I'm going to pulse these and work them until it's a nice smooth consistency. Nice smooth consistency to it. You really want to blend it down good. A little bit in between pulses to make sure you're getting everything. And give it a taste test. See what you think. Oh yeah. It's gonna have some heat to it. Alright, so now our sauce is ready right there. Alright, you can hear it's going pretty good, and yeah, it's about ready. What I did was I prepared a plate with some paper towels. Plate with some paper towels, I should say. And I just put them on that. Let them strain a little bit. Get rid of some of that extra grease. What we're going to do is dump this grease out. So we got the meatballs sitting on some paper towels over a plate. Straining. Time for some tomato paste. And I'm basically using a bunch of tomato paste because I want the sauce to be thick. You don't want your tomato sauce to be, your sauce to be very, very, you know, real thin. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some tomato paste in here. And that ought to heat up a little bit. And keep moving it around because it will try to burn. You'll start seeing when some of the moisture starts wanting to cook out of it a little bit. It's starting to change its shade a little bit. Change the color a little bit. And that's ready for that sauce we made. So, dump the sauce in. Get all that goodness. I told you it was going to be thick. At this point, I like to do, let's say I used about half of it. I like to add the rest of it. That's going to thin it out a little bit. And also give me a couple of chunks of tomato that I actually look forward to being available. So incorporate this real good over, I mean, every stove is different, so you just, you know, so it's hard for me to say, you know, low to medium load or medium high or anything like that, because my medium high may scorch and your medium high, you know, may not hardly boil water, or vice versa, you know. You may have a flamethrower in your kitchen. So get this all incorporated in good, and put your meatballs back in. And what you're looking for is to get this to simmering nicely. You stir these into it if you want, and if it turns out to be a little thicker than you anticipated, you can actually add a little bit of water in this process and cook it down. This is probably what I'm going to do right here. But if you're in a hurry to eat, don't go crazy with the water. You'll find yourself reducing it all night. What I actually like to do is actually use one of my cans that don't have nothing in it, or use my blender, because then waste not, want not. Or you could have just left it at that thickness. This would be about the time where you want to turn on your oven. Get your oven started to preheat. What you want to do is, kind of make sure this all is incorporated good, and what you want to do is bring this up to a simmer, just barely bubbling. And what you want to do is just kind of let that sauce and those meatballs all kind of get to the same temperature and incorporate their flavors into each other. Heat it up a little bit by putting a lid on it, but you gotta watch your temperature on it, because it will try to burn on you. Got a good simmer going. Stir it up one more time. Got the oven heated up. I preheated it at 400, but I'm using one of those little cheap ass little ovens, so I don't think it's ever seen 400 degrees unless it's on broil, which I'm actually going to do with these, but I like to get it preheated to a good temperature, and what I'll do is stir that around good like that. I'm going to do is kill the heat and cover it to keep it nice and hot, and move on to the bread. This particular time I'm using cobblestone PoBoy bread. Use whatever bread you want, but these are already open, so what I like to do, because this is going to be kind of wet, and I've just got some cheap little 4 cheese. Yeah, sure, go ahead and get the high-end cheese, but this is what I had, and therefore it's what I'm going to use. And I like to put a layer of cheese across the bottom, like that. Do that on both of them. You definitely want to line the rack, because you are going to make a little bit of a mess. Like to line it like that, and you got to be crazy with it. Just try to arrange it to where they'll stand up against each other a little bit, kind of hold each other up. That cheese in the bottom, what we're going to do, we're going to put a little bit of that sauce along the bottom of each one. It's going to help melt that cheese, but see, if this is too thin, if the sauce is too thin, just going to want to make the bread get really soggy. So to combat that, you can either do like I did there, and I like the cheese, so that's what I'm doing there, or you can pre-toast your buns a little bit before you start building them. And now, time and I got carried away. It looks like each one's only going to be able to hold 3, but that's fine. There have been worse scenarios in those life that I've had to deal with than this. Alright. This one's kind of spreading it out, so what I'll do is switch these around. Now, a little more cheese. If you use a sturdier bun, you can actually hollow out the inside of them a little bit and turn the meatballs sideways and put a little more meat up in there. But these buns won't hold up to that. Right now, some more sauce. This is the part where I kind of go out of my way to look for some chunks of tomato in the sauce that I'm going to put on top of it. So, sauce it up a little bit. Real good coverage. Sauce. And top it off with a nice little coating of cheese. I used to try to be nice and neat when putting the cheese on, but I found that it's a battle you usually end up losing, so I just gob it on. Alright, so we've got our PoBoys. Then we go into a 350-degree oven. What you're going to do, you're going to watch it till the cheese just starts to melt good, and then you're going to hit it on the broiler, and you're going to look just to brown the cheese, and also watch the bread so you don't burn the bread. Alright folks, that's what you're looking for. Looking to brown that cheese up a little bit, stiffen up that bread some. It's going to open up on you a little bit. Let it sit for a couple of minutes. Plate and eat. There you got it. It's going to be a spicy meatball PoBoy. Once again, shout out to Gardini 100 for basically in a comment he asked me, he said, hey man, you know, why don't you do another homemade, you know, spicy food video? I said, and I hadn't done a food video, and you know, I hadn't done a cooking video in a while, so that seemed right up the alley because I was in the mood for it, and try to tighten y'all up when I can. So let's see what we got going on here. Oh, there's no clean way of eating one of these things. Got the smokiness of the chipotle. Also the heat of the chipotle. Got that tanginess of the tomato paste with lots of garlic. Nice habanero burn going. This bun is actually holding together better than I figured it would. That cheese is nice and brown. Made like a little bit of a crust. Meatball's nice and juicy. You can see it there. Anyway, I'm going to continue tearing into this thing, and I'd like to say once again to Gardini 100, thanks for the comment and the request. Hope this fits the bill. I'd like to thank all my subscribers out there. And, if you're not subscribed, please do so. Ain't no telling what I'm likely to post out there. Trying to do a format where Monday I do a beer review, Wednesday I do a hot sauce review, and Friday I do like a food review, like a packaged food item or something I might buy from a restaurant or something like that. And in between that kind of stuff, I'll occasionally, post a video like this. But anyway, once again, thanks for watching. Like I said, if you're not subscribed, please do. Check out some of my older videos. Definitely feel free to comment. Got any requests or ideas or something you want me to give a shot? Don't be shy. I will catch up with y'all later.